Well, we found out a lot when Kawhi was a free agent. We found out a number of things that were quite surprising. For one is how aggressive he was as far as recruiting other players, star players, to be able to play with them. Had conversations with Kevin Durant, had conversations with Kyrie Irving, convinced Paul George to be able to get traded to the Clippers. So we do know that. I'm not surprised by the short-term contract because he has to be a free agent once he reaches 10 years tenure in the NBA. It wouldn't have made sense. People thought that only the Toronto Raptors could sign him to a short-term deal. If he signed anywhere else, it was going to be a long-term deal. So he wants to be a free agent on that 10th year. You have to be from a strategy standpoint because your salary jumps at that point. And you know, Kawhi wants the leverage to be able to move and or have leverage over the club. That's why he signed that 2 and a 1 year. Because after the 10-year tenure, he's just finished his 8th season. He's going to be a free agent again. I think it has more to do with him and controlling what he wants to do and the constant pressure he can keep on the organization. If they decide to change coaches to Doc Rivers, he would have a say-so about that. But ultimately, to recruit other players to be able to come to the Clippers, it gave him the leverage and the flexibility to be able to do what he wants to do.
Money and power is what this is about. The money is what Chris talked about there. Just the way the collective bargaining agreement's written, you can get a bigger percentage of the salary cap, the biggest percentage once you've been in the league 10 years. So that's why the 2+1 instead of the 3+1. But more notably than the money is the power. The power to continue to hold a bit of a vice grip on the organization. Because the Clippers know this now. They, in theory, could lose Paul George and Kawhi Leonard after the 2021 season, and they do not have control over their drafts starting in 2022. 22, 23, 24, 25, and 26. Those 5 years, OKC either has their picks outright or has a pick swap. So you damn sure better make sure Kawhi Leonard's happy. You damn sure better make sure Paul George is happy and you are competing for championships. And this is the new NBA. We are going to be on a constant cycle of this free agent class is great, but the one a couple years from now is going to be even better because guys are not signing 5-year deals. Yes, Kawhi will be eligible in 2 years for a 4-year, $196 million contract, but what makes anyone think he'd sign that and give up that power as opposed to a 2+1, $145 million contract? This is, people thought LeBron was the outlier, signing those 1+1s in Cleveland, eventually a 2+1 in Cleveland. That is not going to be the outlier. That is going to be more the norm for a select few, for first and second team All-NBA caliber players, because it keeps the pressure on the franchise to never take a step back, to never be worried about the luxury tax, to never go back on the promises that were made to Kawhi in the recruitment phase.
Was there something, though, to those that thought he should have signed a long-term deal, that he's had a little bit of history with injury? Maybe this is a guarantee for longer years and a little guarantee for more money and stability to a guy that did miss some time because of injury?
Well, what it speaks to, he's not worried about getting hurt. Because if he was worried about getting hurt, he would sign the maximum number of years that you could. But where he is right now, he's very, very comfortable. But you got to give yourself the flexibility. If you're not concerned about your health, John Wall did the smart thing. He signed that long-term contract. We got Dame there in Portland. He just signed a long-term contract. I could understand if a guy did that. But Kawhi, with his 10th year, 2 years away, he's got to be able to give himself the flexibility. Because not only are him and Paul George, not only are they the current team that they have, but they're going to be the future. There ain't no draft picks. Like, only way you can add through them is be able to keep these, and when they go out, recruit other guys to be able to come to Los Angeles to be able to play with them, because you can pretty much guarantee that they're going to be there.
But people should also understand, once he picked the Clippers, the longest contract he could sign would have been a 3+1. This is a 2+1. So it's not as if he could have signed a 5-year deal with the Clippers because they were not the incumbent team. But it does mean so the 2020 free agency class is a very weak one. In 2021, if players exercise their options, if guys don't sign early extensions, the following guys are free agents: Giannis, Kawhi, LeBron, Paul George, Blake Griffin, Bradley Beal, Rudy Gobert, C.J. McCollum, Victor Oladipo. Go down the list. It is a third of the top 20 players in the league and then some. And that is, listen, the league, Adam Silver can talk about the owners not liking the level of pressure the players can put on an organization. Okay. The way around this is one of these two or both of these two. Allow for 7 or 8 year contracts the way you used to, because it's one thing to say, I'll give up 1 year of guaranteed money to be able to exert pressure. It's another thing to say, I'll give up 4 years of guaranteed money to be able to exert pressure. Or remove the individual player maximums. Remove the have someone be able to offer a player 60% of the cap instead of 35% of the cap. But as the CBA is currently written, it's in the player's interest, if they're a top player in this league, to go short-term deals and continue to be able to put the screws to the team.
You can't possibly have any doubt that Jerry West won't be able to keep these guys. Do you think Kawhi Leonard wants to stay with the Clippers, wants to be a Clipper for longer than the 2 years?
I mean, Jerry West hoped to be alive. I mean, Jerry West is no young guy. Kawhi Leonard wants to be a Clipper, but it doesn't make sense for him to sign a 3 and a 1, a 4-year deal. It doesn't make sense. Doesn't make sense as far as where he is. He just finished his 8th season. You know you got that big jump coming after year number 10, and the flexibility. Like, we were shocked at how Kawhi recruited other players to be able to come there. That will continue. And him being able to say, hey, man, I'm going to be a free agent. I can be a free agent. I can opt into the contract. I can sign long term. That's what other guys are looking, and he can kind of help control that roster.
And you want to be able to make sure the team doesn't at some point. We saw the Miami Heat all of a sudden tail into LeBron's time there. Oh, we're not going to bring Mike Miller back. We want to avoid the luxury tax. We saw the Cleveland Cavaliers, another LeBron example. The 1 year he didn't have the ability to opt out of a deal. They don't bring back David Griffin. We know that when Kawhi was meeting with the Lakers, the Clippers, the Raptors, there were certain demands he made, certain requests he made about what his load management would be, about the medical staff, about how the team was going to treat him. Once you sign the contract, if they renege on that, there's nothing you can do, especially if you've signed for the maximum number of years. This now ensures the team has to keep its word in that regard.
All right. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from First Things First, or go watch a few segments from our other shows on FS1.